Welcome to another episode of What the Media Want. I'm your host, Nikki Snell, founder of Press Loft, and in each episode I chat with leading journalists, bloggers and content creators to help PRs understand what they're looking for, from the stories they cover to how to pitch to them more effectively. And in this episode, I'm delighted to welcome Mel Sherwood. So Mel is the editor of Your Home magazine, the UK's best-selling home title. And she was also previously editor of Homes and Antiques magazine and has worked on a wide range of titles from History Revealed to the world of cross-stitching and perfect weddings. So welcome, Mel. It's great to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Great. So should we start with getting a summary of how you started out in your career?
So I graduated in 2008, which I don't know if anyone can remember. Not the best year to graduate. Credit crunch very much landed with a thud. And my degree in drama and English was looking less like it was going to lead to a theatre career by the month, really. So when I did graduate, I took the approach of just scattergun apply for absolutely everything. And I was very lucky to get a call back to come into Perfect Wedding to be their editorial assistant. I did have some experience in a bridal shop, and I think obviously that probably helped. And from there, I actually haven't left the company. The company has changed names a lot of times, and I've moved around a lot of magazines and brands within the company, but I've never technically left, which does feel a bit odd. I don't like to think about how many years it is from 2008. Let's not do the math. But yes, Perfect Wedding as editorial assistant. Then I moved into the world of cross-stitching. I wasn't my best self in craft. It wasn't a very good fit for me. But I do think it was a fantastic learning ground. And then I moved on to a special editions team where we looked after all of the one-shot bookazines for all the BBC titles that we ran. Then on to History Revealed, because one of those titles that was really good, that sold really well, was a history mag for children. So we launched History Revealed off the back of that. And then I moved into Homes and Antiques. And then that was where I first became editor on Homes and Antiques, which felt like very big shoes to fill. I'm not going to lie. That's a big mag with a big legacy. And then in March 2020 was when I had the conversation with my publisher to join.
Wow, two spectacular dates there for your career.
Yeah, actually, that's true. So I took over, I think, in sort of April, May time, 2020, with a team that I had a half an hour chat with in the office, because it was literally the last thing we did before we went home, was we told them I'd be taking over. Yeah.
Wow. And so what is it you do now day to day as editor?
I was thinking about this question. It's a tricky one to answer, and I always find it hard to sum up what it is to be an editor. So if I give you yesterday as a for instance, I spent most of the morning working on the August issue for our Apple News edition. Then I switched to Christmas, because we've got a team of freelancers working on a Christmas bookazine at the moment that goes out in September. Then I spent the rest of the day planning the November issue. And in between all of that, of course, there was lots of admin and chat going on between the team. But I have to say, if we were near a print, I would be 100% on the September issue, because that's actually the issue we're working on.
Right. So juggling all sorts of different times of year, constantly, different teams.
I can never confidently tell someone what the date is, because I don't know what month I'm in from one day to the next.
It's similar to Press Loft, to be honest, because we've constantly got clients adding images all time of year, any time of year. So it's not dissimilar. But can you tell us a little bit about Your Home in more detail?
So I always describe Your Home as saying it could easily be called your forever home. The idea, we think, is that people are either in their forever home or they would like to be with their next move. And we want to help people make that forever home their dream home without it breaking the bank. We are definitely at the more affordable end of the market. And actually, when I took over from Annalisa Dayat, the outgoing editor, back in 2020, one of the things she told me that has stuck with me is there's the overtness of what we do, which is helping people make their dream homes. And then there's almost the covert aspect of what we do, which is empowering women to have the home that they want to live in. And I think that's something that I still think of to this day, is that we're never telling anyone to go and ask their husband to help them with this. And we're never telling anyone to spend more than they should on something. We're always empowering women to have the home that they want to have without having to make sacrifices.
I love that. Amazing. And are there any key metrics that you can share around circulation figures?
Circulation figures. Well, our latest ABC is 52K, which is up 4% on last year, which we're very, very proud of. A lot of that is to do with our digital editions, our work in the digital edition space, especially Apple News, which we're very excited about. And as well as being, as well as having that quite high ABC, which is lovely, we also have a high pass on rate. So one copy might get seen by 3 or 4 different people, which is always nice to bear in mind.
Amazing. Amazing. And you've talked about the demographic, but I'd also just like to pick up on the Apple News thing. We had a discussion at a press event and how significant it's been for the brand. Can you talk a bit more about that process and what it's meant for you?
I mean, it has been brand changing. Like, it has been, the future of the brand feels very different now to what it did back in 2020. It's super exciting. All of a sudden, I feel very buzzy to work where I work, you know. The process is a bit on the fiddly side. We send the magazine to print as normal, and then all of that gets handed over to a company who are based in India, actually, called VMG, who are one of the very few Apple News approved content generators who can generate for the platform. It's not something we're allowed to do ourselves. They work with it for a while. We spend a lot of time tailoring the content that we've made for print to enhance it for Apple News. So very few of the headlines will be the same. They almost all, in fact, all of the headlines will get rewritten because they have to be, they're more like writing for a red top newspaper. It's like a grabby cover line is what you're looking for. So everything gets repurposed slightly. They want features to be longer than we might have. So I might spend some time making features longer by adding to them and extending them, or adding some more product, or finding an extra expert to add a comment. So sometimes when I'm sending out response sources, for instance, I might say, this is just for Apple News, and people come back to me and they don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, no, this is a really good thing. The readership here is just as big, if not bigger, than the print issue. So it's still a big deal to be in the Apple News edition. So then we will get the issue back from that content creator in like about a week later. And then we have feedback. So it's back and forth, making it perfect. And we do also produce some features that never go into print. They only ever go onto Apple News, because we've identified that there are subject areas that are interesting on Apple News and that cross over with the homes sector. So we will sometimes produce additional content just for Apple News, because we suspect there's an interest in it for that audience that it wouldn't quite be right for print.
And do you get told about those topics by something in Apple News, or is it something that you just research yourselves?
We research ourselves. So Apple can be quite protective. They're very keen, but they also don't let much on, if that makes sense. So they're very enthusiastic to work with us, and they tell us, the feedback that we keep getting is to just keep doing what we're doing, which is lovely, but it would be nice if we could get told what works. But in reality, we are analysing ourselves. So we have the marketing team here that do quite a lot of analysis for us. And so when I'm commissioning gardening, so I have a gardening section that runs over the summer months, and I commission it all in one big block, like January, February time. And I will ask my someone from the digital editions marketing team to go off and look at what was good on Apple News last summer that they really liked on Apple News last summer. And I will work based off that. But I'm also always taking screenshots. If you were to look through my camera roll on my phone, you'd see loads of screenshots of good headers and good content that I've seen on Apple News that I'm like, yes, that.
Well, lots and lots of research. And so what are the figures then on Apple News versus print?
So what's really nice about it, I think, is that we reach an entirely new audience. There's very few people who buy the print edition who are also looking at the Apple News edition. And in the last year, I measured this morning, in the last year, our content has reached over 426,000 unique viewers on Apple News, and they will all be people who have not encountered it before.
Wow, that is staggering. That jaw-droppingly amazing. So
it is. So you can see why it has a big impact on the ABCs. It's not a like-for-like impact. The way that it's calculated is a bit different, but it adds up.
That's really incredible. And then you're paid by Apple News for subscribers or views or?
Yes. So the way the payment works is by what they call engaged minutes. So that's why it pays off to make an article longer if you think it's a good article. Because the longer people stay on that article, the more minutes they spend on it, the better. People are really engaged by Apple News content. It's not like any other web content at all. It is much more like print content.
This episode is supported by Press Loft, helping PR teams to provide their product images and content to journalists the moment they want to feature them. With over 1,000 brands uploading ready-to-use images and press releases, journalists can source imagery and content for their articles as they're writing them, without needing to email PR teams and wait for replies. In fact, 20% of coverage generated via Press Loft happens out of hours when PR teams aren't around to respond. It's a smarter, more journalist-focused way to drive media coverage. Visit pressloft.com to learn more and take a free 60-day trial. Incredible. And there's such a move that's being discussed. And this sounds like part of it is that move to long form is coming, and it's going to get really, really big as we're just saturated with short form that's getting shorter and shorter and more and less stimulating. We're all getting dopamine saturation. There is this shift, and it's obviously working incredibly well for something you're doing anyway, which is so lovely. So when this must have a much wider reach then. So it's not just UK readers, then you're reaching globally.
Yeah, we're reaching globally. Well, we're able to reach globally. However, we don't retain globally because Homes content is so specific to UK. So if you think about products that are available, they're only available here. If you think about if you were to think about an expert advice feature we might do on home improvement or plumbing, all of it is specific to the UK.
And so you're not shifting your content for Apple News?
Started to do it and we realised it wasn't paying off. So we pulled it back. But other brands definitely do that. We have our biggest success story on Apple News that we have at Our Media is Science Focus. And they really do make sure that their content is tailored to America completely. Wildlife and Countryfile as well, they do the same thing. Lots of Zs instead of Ss as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And so on to sort of newsletters. Do you do those? And what sort of numbers have you got for them?
Yeah, we do newsletters. We actually are quite proud of how highly engaged our audience is. We've got a 27% click-through rate, which is great. And the newsletters go out weekly. They're put together by our digital team. Excuse me. And yeah, we do all sorts of bits and bobs on there. We do a few bits of interiors news as and when there's something really relevant. We push through any exciting content from the magazines, I should say, because it's shared between Your Home and Homestyle, our sister title. And we also will push any competitions or reader offers that we've had either in the mag or exclusive to web.
Great. And then slightly linked, on your Homestyle website, do you tend to reproduce articles that have come from the print editions as a way to get more subscribers or more readers, or is it fresh content?
Yes, it's mostly working with content from the print edition and pushing through the things that we think are going to be really, really popular. We'll do a few affiliates articles here and there as well, but largely it's working with what we've already got from the print issues.
Brilliant. And socials, are they important to you as a brand?
Not so much. They're much more important for Homestyle, actually. The Homestyle Instagram account is massive and does loads. We have about 36,000 on Instagram, and they're quite engaged, actually, for bearing in mind that everyone knows this business Instagram is really hard to get engagement with. I think we do quite well given that. But really it's Homestyle that's the big hitter there.
Any opportunities or plans really to look at video, audio or social more in the future?
I mean, we would absolutely love to bring our podcast back. We used to have a podcast that we did a couple of short seasons of called Room for Improvement, where we would get a panel from the team to answer real questions from people at home and help them improve their homes. And we got such lovely feedback from it. It was really nice. Unfortunately, we had a change of staff that meant that we lost the key expertise that we needed. But if we had the right sponsor, just putting that out there, we might be able to bring it back.
Well, want to contact Mel if you are interested. And so we're just going to move on to more PR topics now about brands and imagery.
Yes.
So what sorts of brands or products do you tend to feature at your home?
All sorts of home and garden products that are at the affordable end of the market. We know our readers absolutely love to kind of grab a quick pick-me-up in the supermarket or while they're doing something else. In fact, before it shut, the number one place they shopped for their homewares was Wilko's.
Wow.
Which just tells me that they're doing absolutely everything on their lunch break to me. But we know they love a supermarket trip. We know they love an Amazon haul. But we're also very keen to help them discover new brands too. As long as it's affordable, we'll consider it.
Brilliant. And then how do you typically source those images of the products that you're featuring?
Press Loft, of course. Image download sites are important, and Press Loft is usually right at the top of the list. We have direct relationships with PRs as well. We'll go direct to PRs, and we will also contact smaller brands individually if we really want to approach a smaller brand. A few of the bigger websites, Etsy especially, you can download high res enough images to use. We don't like to do that as a standard, but if it helps us feature more small businesses, then I think it's a good thing.
Great. And what kind of imagery do you need from PR teams?
I mean, the main thing is high res, in focus, well lit. If you aren't doing all three of those things, we're probably not even going to hit download. But I think things that look really natural as well. I think odd styling choices can make it very hard to work with. I shan't share the name or any details to make it too identifiable, but we did get a whole load of images of tablescapes last season, I think it was, Easter time. And the food styling was so distracting. It was mad. So you couldn't talk about the plates because obviously no one looking at that image was going to be talking about the plates. Definitely going to be talking about what was on the plate. Yeah.
That's so interesting. And so generally it's a mixture of lifestyle and cutouts, not just one or the other that you're looking for.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lifestyles and cutouts completely. Yeah.
Okay. And any, aside from what you've said already, any images, styles of images that don't work for you, ones with people in them perhaps, or?
People are less likely to get used, but we will use them every once in a while, especially if it's a more lifestyle-y feature. The main thing that I'm finding lately is anything that's too obviously AI is tricky for us to use, really. So just be conscious of that. Like AI, obviously AI is going to play a part in images from now on, but just look out for anything that looks too fake.
And is there a brand that does it well that you can mention?
Oh no, you've put me on the spot. Well, do you know what? I was looking at them earlier. Probably, I can say because I was looking at it just literally half an hour ago. The Nutmeg Home sent through a very good press release not that long ago that had some very nice imagery in it, very usable imagery. Right. And also, I was looking at a recent release from sofa.com earlier, and that looked very good as well.
Amazing. And do you generally make yet any of your own AI imagery at all, or is it something that you're only sourcing from brands?
No, we're not making AI imagery. We might extend an image a bit just to give us a bit more space to work with on the page. But that's as much as we're doing. We wouldn't want to change the look of a product, because then if someone goes out and buys the product and it's not what it looked like, then we're not delivering for the reader.
Yeah, makes sense. And so I just want to go into more PR tips now. So what's the last PR pitch that you said yes to?
I'm going to talk about Nutmeg Home again. Sorry. So this is quite tricky, but I was looking for something for a decorating feature for November. And I have narrowed it down to either something that's come out of the Nutmeg Home lookbook or something that's come out of the sofa.com press release that I mentioned earlier. But I don't know which one of those will be the actual final yes, because it depends on how the rest of the issue comes together.
Nice. And what's the one thing that PRs could do better when reaching out to you?
The one thing that PRs could do better, I think, is remember that we have really long lead times. As our focus is for newsstand, and I mean both print and digital for that, the earlier we know about a launch or an event, the more likely we are to be able to feature it across all the platforms.
Okay, that's really helpful. And how far is that then? What is your lead time?
Months and months. Like I said, I'm working on Christmas and November at the moment.
So it's any one time you could be working on multiple issues. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, definitely. So I'm really planning November. We are actively working on September. It's mid-July now, by the way, as we record. But with the real houses that we feature up to and over a year in advance. So we've already got a Christmas 2026 house in the books.
Wow.
So that's how far in advance we work.
Incredible.
But what we can't
that's the longest lead time I've ever heard.
Well, the only ones I know that can beat that is Gardens Illustrated, the Vogue of gardening, as they call it. They will sometimes shoot gardens 2 years in advance.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of pitching, is there a day of the week it's preferable to pitch to you, or maybe not to pitch?
I mean, I'm fairly easy on that front. I would say that Fridays are much quieter, and I get a lot of emails every day. So if you want a good chance of me being able to spend a bit of time reading your email, Friday's probably sensible.
Okay, that's really helpful. And then similarly, is there a time of year that you're always looking for more content, or that you're overwhelmed because other things are going on, that it's best not to pitch?
I mean, we're fairly constant, and this is going to be hard to pick apart, like hard to identify exactly when it boils down to, but it's the ends of the seasons that are trickiest for us. So beginning of the season, we've got new trends, we've got new imagery, it's all very exciting. But by the time we're working on, so like the March issues, great, new, spring, exciting. The May issues, it's a bit too early to be talking about summer, but we still need to be excited about spring. So it's probably actually at the start of the season in the real world, not in the publishing world, the real actual start of the season is when we still need fresh and exciting content to tide us over to the end of that season. Does that make sense?
It really makes sense.
I feel like I said the word season 1,000 times.
No, that it does make sense, and it's really nice to have that nugget if you're just trying to squeeze out more coverage, is to get in touch with something new for you guys at those crossover times is a good opportunity to get coverage. So we've talked about Christmas briefly and the fact you're working on it, but have you got any information that you can share about what it is that you're working on that people could pitch for?
So Christmas bookazines is sort of underway, so that's wrapped up really. What I would say is we are still looking for product that we can feature in that. So if there's affordable decorating imagery, please send it our way. We are going to be working on that up until I think deadline's the 8th of September off the top of my head, but before the end of August, if you send us good stuff, we will find a way to shoehorn it in, because what we don't want is a whole load from just 3 or 4 brands throughout the magazine. The readers find that very boring. So yeah, please do send it our way. For the main issues, December, we'll be I'll be commissioning them mid-August. It's not too planned out yet. I haven't completely nailed it down. I've got a sort of an idea of doing something on decluttering for Christmas, but that might be in the issue that goes on sale actually in December. So that might be in my January issue technically, because I feel like by then everyone's bored of the clutter. And we had big success with the decluttering for January feature on Apple News, but it went on sale in December. I was really surprised by it. It was a surprise hit of December last year, where everyone just seemingly wanted to be done with the clutter.
Well, that is interesting. Okay, we'll look out for those ones for pitching for decluttering. And so keeping it light and mentioning no names, are there some PR pet hates aside from not understanding your lead time?
I mean, there is one that I absolutely love to hate. So I don't want anyone ever to stop doing this, because I love it and I share it with my team every time I see it. But really tortured connections to things where there just isn't really a connection. So there was one last month from a vegetable brand ahead of Wimbledon that said that they were serving up a particular product, and the whole theme was entirely tennis themed. But we're not talking about strawberries. We're not even talking about anything that would be the shape of a tennis ball. It was mad. There was no connection, and the whole thing was so Wimbledon and tennis themed, and I just thought, well, bless you, please never stop.
Oh, I like it though, because it is, you can try as a PR. There's normally a way.
Yeah, but as far as its impact on me. That was over a month ago and I still remember it. There are not many press releases that I still remember a month later.
That's so true. And generally, do you like press releases? Do you like receiving them?
To my research and how I plan out the magazine and what the content's going to be. They're essential.
And how many do you get each day or each week?
On a busy day, 80 plus.
Wow. And do you go through them all, or do you put them in folders and then go through them?
I do a quick assessment as to whether or not it's going to be useful down the line or not. And then it gets filed away if it is going to be useful, and it gets deleted if it's not. Unfortunately, I can't read them all properly.
And you delete rather than leave and put them into an archive. They've gone.
They've gone. I could access them if I needed to, because nothing's ever really deleted. But yeah.
Got you. And what makes a great press release? What makes something stand out in your very busy inbox?
Clarity, a really clear message, full information, and like if there's a unique expert saying something relevant and interesting, that can really help, especially if it's a big name. We're finding with Apple News that if we can pin a big name to something, then that equals big success. A good one we had a couple of months ago was about Phil Spencer. So if you've got a name like that, or Lawrence Wellenbowen, he's been great for us as well on Apple News. So if you've got a name, then it's definitely going to get opened and read at that time.
So maybe make sure that's in the subject heading so that it's really clear for you. And do you use expert quotes that are ready to go, or do you have to have a unique one?
We prefer to use unique ones, but we will compromise when that's necessary, yeah.
When needed. Okay, great. And then in terms of samples, do you get many samples now?
Not so many anymore, which I do have to say, I prefer it, if I'm honest. From a sustainability point of view, we used to get so much, and it was always very, very difficult to kind of fairly distribute among the team or make sure that stuff didn't just go in the bin. So we did a lot of charity sales and charity donations. But yeah, I think it's much more sustainable now, both for the industry and for the planet.
Okay. And do you, so if someone wants to send you something, always check first, don't just send it unsolicited, basically?
I think especially for the sake of the address, because so I've lived in this house for 2 years now, and I got a note not that long ago from the old owners of our old house to say that something's arrived for you, and I had no idea it was coming, and I didn't know what it was.
And have you had any particularly memorable samples?
I had a lovely one recently from Dartington Crystal. They sent me a lovely little one of their bird vases. I think it might have been mid-sized bird vase in a lilac colour, which was beautiful. And they also sent some candles that had dried flowers pressed into the side of them, which was just so sweet. Yeah, they're really lovely. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's lovely. And then outside of work, what is it that you love to do to switch off?
I'm a bit of a work nerd. You will find me on Apple News a lot of the time, and I need to get myself out of that habit. But when I was in my 20s, I took up ballet as a beginner, and then I dropped it sort of 3 or 4 years into doing it, but I loved it. And I recently started a bar course that I can do remotely from home, which is fantastic. I do that 3 or 4 times a week now, which is really enjoyable. Other than that, I have a dog who's a mix of working breeds. So she takes a lot of my time and thinking power. How am I going to keep you entertained today? And is it okay if I say telly? I know it's not the coolest hobby, but good telly. I love it so much. Yeah. We're watching Last of Us season 2 at the moment, which is actually not great for winding down. You very much need to watch something after The Last of Us so that you're not so tense afterwards. But I've also just discovered a dark comedy called Such Brave Girls on iPlayer, which is already in season 2, and I missed it. I missed season 1, and so I binged it all in about a day. It's fantastic. Strong recommend on that front.
Sounds brilliant. Well, Mel, thank you. It has been so useful. There's so many PR tips there that people can go away and do their jobs better. So really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a treat.
Thanks for listening to What the Media Want. If you found today's episode useful, we'd love it if you subscribed, shared with a colleague, or left us a quick review. This podcast is supported by Press Loft. If you're in PR and want to make it easier for journalists to feature your brand, take a free 60-day trial at pressloft.com.